new babe. So what's good, TMG fam? It's your boy L, and I'm back with another reaction. How y'all feel? Welcome back to the channel, man. Salute. So listen, bro, before I get started, I want to say happy belated birthday to the late, great Tupac Shakur, man. Tupac Shakur. The name to this day still holds a lot of weight, man. It still has people screaming that he was one of the best to ever do it. And just rightfully so, bro. Rightfully so. So this video here is the mysterious death of Tupac Shakur. Now, I know if you've been on this earth at least 20 years, then you've heard or seen or watched movies or seen different documentaries. It's probably a million of them out there. Honestly, it is. And you can take from what you will from each one of those, man. But Tupac Shakur was just that, I don't know, mesmerizing, that polar. Like, he was polarizing figure, bro. He literally was. And in death, he became more polarizing, in my opinion, bro. Tupac Shakur, I can't even get the word out, get the name out. Tupac Shakur was just that, like, huge in a sense of his celebrity, bro. Like, he was just everything, man, to music, to the people, to a whole coast, to just everything, man. You know what I'm saying? And to see him die so young is still so tragic. A lot of us still have not gotten over it. You know what I mean? We just felt like him and Biggie were taken from us too young, too early, too soon. You know what I mean? And that's something that we'll have to live with for the rest of our lives. Now, even to this day, Pac still makes the news. Like, just recently, shout outs to Jada Pinkett Smith. You know what I mean? You know what? Shout outs to Will Smith. We gotta say shout outs to Will Smith because he keeps being in the spotlight because of Jada. You know what I mean? But I ain't gonna get into that. That's a red table talk discussion for them at their table, right? Another one they need to have. But she had him in the she was making headlines because she had a poem. You know, her and Pac had a history, and she was reading a poem that he had wrote her when he was in jail. And if you heard that poem, man, Pac was always very poetic. You know what I'm saying? As far as with his words, the impact that his words left, which they still leave if you go back and listen to some of his songs. You still play Dear Mama and stuff like that, and it still has an impact today as if he had just made it. You know what I mean? So it's just, like I said, again, back to him being polarizing, bro. He just was that. So BuzzFeed has this video of talking about the mysterious deaths that we're going to get into, all right? So if you're new to the channel, man, hit the subscribe button wherever it is on the channel, and let's run the likes up, bro. Run the likes up. Let's go.
Biggie Small, starting with two.
I got to back it up a little bit, my bad. Hold on, here we go.
Today on BuzzFeed Unsolved, we're covering the mysterious deaths of Tupac Shakur and Biggie Small, starting with Tupac. Right now, we're on our way to Las Vegas and eventually Los Angeles to cover some of the spots where this all went down. As always, I'm Ryan, that's Brent, and we brought along our friend Deja because it felt wrong to cover Biggie and Tupac without bringing a true super fan.
I'm more of a Tupac fan, but, you know, Biggie's cool.
Irrelevant.
And where's my head at? I should have asked that at the beginning. Who are you more a fan of, Biggie or Pac? Let me know in the comment section, and also let me know, you know what I mean, your reasons why you were more of a fan of Biggie or Pac. Let me know, all right? I should have asked that in the beginning.
But,
anyway, you're irrelevant.
Anyways, let's get into it. On September 7th, 1996, at the MGM Grand Casino in Las Vegas, Nevada, Tupac Shakur attended a Mike Tyson boxing match. After the match, Tupac left with Suge Knight, who at the time was CEO of the West Coast record label, Death Row Records, the label that Tupac was signed to. However, on their way out, Tupac and his bodyguards got into a fight with Orlando Anderson in the lobby of the MGM casino. In the lobby? In the lobby of the MGM. Orlando Anderson was a member of the Compton-based Southside Crips gang. After the brawl, Suge Knight and Tupac left in Knight's car with Tupac's entourage following in cars behind them. While stopped at the traffic light at the intersection of Flamingo and Koval, a white Cadillac pulled up on the passenger side of Knight's car and shot out of the window, hitting Tupac 4 times and grazing Knight in the head with a bullet fragment. In 2014, 18 years after the shooting, Chris Carroll, a now retired Las Vegas Police Department sergeant, came forward to say he was first at the scene.
Why was he quiet for 18 years?
If I was a cop, I wouldn't necessarily say in a public way that I was the first person.
All right.
Own, Daisha!
Shut up.
According to Carroll, when
Now, a lot of people may ask that question too. We all ask that question, why it take 18 years for him to speak up. But you have to kind of understand from his perspective, bro. Again, like I said in the beginning, Tupac, what he meant to a coast, bro, what he meant to that coast, man, they was after anybody who had something to do or they thought, you know what I mean? It was such a divide that a lot of people were from the East Coast scared to go out to the West Coast and vice versa because of the East Coast, West Coast thing that, remind you, the media had blown out of proportion. You know what I'm saying? It was crazy how a divide between two coasts could exist like that, but it was. You know what I mean? So imagine being a cop and having to, who probably, if I had to guess, he may have a family. You got a family to think about, man. Not to say you did anything wrong, but one wrong move or one wrong thing, you could have somebody after your family, need to be put in protective custody. It's several different reasons that I could think of that he possibly kept his mouth shut. Now, it could be also bad reasons as well. So
when he opened the car door, Tupac fell out of the car covered in blood, and Carroll asked, quote, "Who shot you?" and states that Tupac took a breath to respond and said, quote, "Fuck you," before slipping into unconsciousness, making those Tupac's last words.
Since we're like right here, there's like no way.
What time is it right now?
11:56.
Look how many cars right now at 11:56. On a Friday, that's not nearly as busy as a Tyson fight.
There's no way. Like if I heard those gunshots, it would just be like.
You look where it was, right?
Yeah.
Tupac was taken to the University Medical Center and placed on life support in a medically induced coma. And on September 13th, 1996, 6 days after the shooting, Tupac died due to his injuries at the age of 25.
nobody believed it. I mean, still to this day, you got people that still don't believe he's dead, and they have all different conspiracies, but we're not gonna get into that. But nobody believed it, man. You know, if you listen to Biggie, even Biggie said it, man. He was like, I heard it. And I was like, oh man, he gonna get through this just like he's gotten through every, you remember Pac had gotten hit up a lot. You know what I'm saying? So Biggie was like, man, he gonna pull through this one just like he's done the other ones. You know, this is Pac. At this point, we thought Pac was superhuman. Everybody remembers the song or the intro or whatever, or the skit or whatever it was where he was like, you know what I mean? He checked out of the hospital after being shot several times, and you know what I'm saying? Pac was superhuman to us. So to see him succumb to this shooting was like, no, not Pac. He ain't dead. No way.
5.
Whoa, 25? I didn't realize he died so young.
Both of them died.
Yeah,
super
he died
young.
at 25. Biggie Smalls died at 24.
I think that's what was so heartbreaking about it, is that there were these two young black males on the rise, and like they just got snatched up.
Yeah, that's where it happened. That's where he died. One strange fact is that the Las Vegas police never arrested anyone in connection with the murder. They also failed to follow up with Yaki Gaddafi, a member of Tupac's entourage who was there that evening, who claimed he could identify the assailant. However, Gaddafi was unfortunately murdered 2 months later on November 10th, 1996, before he could be interviewed.
Wow.
See what I mean? So let's say that cop, let's go back to that cop. Let's say the cop opens the door and Tupac's last words instead of F you is the name of the person who did it. What type of position that puts that cop in? Gaddafi had information he was murdered 2 months later. You know what I'm saying? That cop could have been nervous for his life, bro. Not saying he was, but I'm just saying as a possibility of some things to think of, fam. Like, it was all out, like, you know, on some Wild Wild West type stuff over there.
A Las Vegas homicide detective who oversaw the case claimed it got, quote, the same treatment as any other homicide here, end quote.
What does that mean?
We don't care about anyone who died. We don't care if he was famous. We treat everyone the same.
All right, let's get to some of the main theories.
All right.
The first theory is from former LA Times journalist Chuck Phillips, who believes that Orlando Anderson, the Crips gang, and none other than Biggie Smalls are responsible for the murder. Chuck Phillips and the LA Times investigated the murder over the course of a year and came up with the following conclusions based on anonymous sources. Conclusion 1. Members of the Southside Crips were involved in the shooting as retaliation for Tupac's beating of Orlando Anderson. Conclusion 2. Orlando Anderson was the shooter. Conclusion 3. Biggie Smalls paid $1 million for the murder of Tupac and supplied the gun.
No! How would anyone know that?
Well, he did
Also, why would you supply the gun?
because he wanted it done with his gun, reportedly.
Why?
That's how things go down, I guess. I don't know. Speaking of Biggie, let's go over his potential motive for wanting Tupac dead. Biggie's year-long feud with Tupac was well known and at the forefront of the East Coast-West Coast rap rivalry, including a reported verbal altercation and diss tracks. In one track titled
That's not. I knew they was gonna go to the sleeping with the wife, Faith Evans. That's still. I don't see Big doing that. Not saying that I knew Big personally. We all from the outside looking in. I just don't see him risking it all over a beef that he didn't even want to participate in, according to him. You know what I'm saying? He really wasn't for the whole beef thing, because remember, they were cool at first. It spiraled into something, but they were cool first, him and Pop.
Hit Him Up, Tupac claimed he had slept with Biggie's wife, Faith Evans.
How does that one go? Is that hit him up? Or is that a different one? I'm actually curious.
I think you should just never do that again.
No.
Strangely, according to Phillips, neither Biggie nor anyone connected to Biggie was questioned by the police.
Wow, okay.
As for Orlando Anderson, the believed shooter, he was shot to death in May 1998. Up until his death, Anderson denied responsibility for Tupac's death and was never charged. The second theory is from former LAPD detective Russell Poole, who believes that Suge Knight set up the murder. Despite Suge Knight also being hit in the shooting, Detective Poole believes Suge Knight had motives. Motive 1. Suge Knight apparently owed Tupac a lot of money, by some accounts $3 million, a theory corroborated by the fact that Afeni Shakur, Tupac's mother, sued Death Row and Knight in 1997 for mishandling funds and taking millions of dollars away from Tupac. Motive 2. Tupac intended to leave Death Row Records, Suge Knight's label. Tupac had recently fired his lawyer David Kenner, who in addition to being Suge Knight's lawyer, also wrote up Tupac's agreement with Death Row Records. And sure enough, a week after the firing, Suge Knight invited Tupac to the fateful boxing match. Here's some other things that don't look good for Suge Knight. Shortly after the brawl in the MGM lobby, Knight stopped to make a phone call while everyone else was fleeing the scene. Knight also insisted that Tupac ride with him in his car after the boxing match.
Was it on Tupac's side that they shot at the car, or was it on Suge Knight's side?
The side of the car that Tupac was on.
So how'd they know that they got Tupac's side?
Oh, I see what you're saying. So how would they know which side Tupac was on?
Yeah.
Unless somebody told him.
Right.
Orlando Anderson, the man who Tupac fought with at MGM, also contradicted his initial testimony, at first saying Knight was part of the MGM brawl, but then later saying that Knight was trying to break up the fight, stating, quote, "I seen him pulling people off of me," end quote. Many people believe this turnaround happened because of a payoff by Knight. Detective Poole also claims the bullet wound Knight says he received that night was never verified by the hospital, the police, or any other witnesses.
Now that's the first time I heard that part. Like, bro, that's the first time I've ever heard of that. Now I've heard of theories about Suge being involved, and they just can never make anything stick. But that's the first time I ever heard that the shot that's supposed to he had took that no hospital could corroborate the story. That's insane.
So nobody knows if he got shot.
Exactly.
Whoa!
However,
How did that get through?
However, this contradicts the 2014 report from former Las Vegas Police Sergeant Chris Carroll, who stated that Knight's head was, quote, gushing blood, and that he had, quote, clearly been hit in the head. Carroll also mentioned that Knight showed legitimate concern and that, quote, it wasn't acting.
Why would he be like, it's not acting? That sounds like something that someone would pay you to say, like...
You don't trust that Chris Carroll was a licensed casting director and wouldn't notice bad acting from good acting?
Well, he said that later, though, so he must have heard the rumors that people thought it was Suge.
That could be also why he said this.
Quote, this is not the guy who had him killed. It's ridiculous.
To me, yeah, this makes way more sense than Biggie. It's this guy.
Yeah, but how are you almost to the point to where you're saying, I put my credibility online. He would not do that. You know Suge like that? Suge, who's currently sitting in jail right now for some craziness. But do you know him like to say, to be that adamant? Or I thought being a cop or a detective, you're supposed to zoom out and look at every possibility or angle of what could have possibly happened to come to a conclusion, not just automatically rule out one person. That makes it look like, okay, maybe we do need to look at Suge, because why are you so adamant? You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. They spinning me in a whirlwind now. Again.
Would only benefit from Tupac dying, because then he's going to be able to get more money, because then obviously his music will become immortalized now.
And he'll still own everything.
Right.
Here's my thing about it. I can't see someone putting themselves in the line of fire in a murder scenario. I just don't, that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
The third theory is from LAPD Detective Greg Kading, who believes that Sean Combs, aka P. Diddy or Puff Daddy, and CEO of the East Coast record label Bad Boy Records, orchestrated Tupac's death. Detective Kading got a Crips gang member named Keith Davis to confess on tape that P. Diddy paid him $1 million to carry out the murder of Tupac and Suge Knight. Keith Davis confessed that Orlando Anderson, who was Davis's nephew, was the one who pulled the trigger. And Davis also admits to being in the car when he recounts the night that Tupac was shot. Quote, Orlando rolled down the window and popped him. If they would have drove on my side, I would have popped them. End quote. Keith Davis claims the motive behind P. Diddy's hit was due to fear that Suge Knight would strike first, and that Tupac was only included in the hit because P. Diddy was pissed off about Tupac's song Hit 'Em Up. Furthermore, before Tupac was killed, he was shot multiple times on November 30th, 1994 at Quad Recording Studios in New York City. Tupac repeatedly stated that he suspected people associated with P. Diddy were the perpetrators, a suspicion corroborated by a 2011 confession from Dexter Isaac, who claimed he was hired by a P. Diddy associate to rob Tupac that night. However, P. Diddy has denied involvement in the murder, stating, quote, this story is pure fiction and completely ridiculous, end quote. And for what it's worth, Keith Davis was reportedly looking at 25 years to life due to unrelated activities if he didn't reveal his secrets.
If you're saying that someone paid you $1 million, like wouldn't there be some kind of receipt to say that?
You don't want a paper trail. Why would you establish a paper trail?
Okay, all right.
Overruled.
Listen.
The next theory is that the Jewish Defense League...
What? What?
Let him finish. Let him finish.
Okay.
Oh,
Jewish-
there are cops coming out.
Oh shit, really?
Yeah.
The next theory is that the Jewish Defense League, an extremist pro-Israel group, killed Tupac. The FBI had files of alleged death threats on Tupac from the Jewish Defense League, which has been classified as a terrorist group by the FBI. Other than that, there's really not much to see here.
I mean, they did offer threats.
They did offer
They're
threats.
they're the only people who said, I'm gonna kill you.
You know what? You have a point.
The last theory I'm going to go over is pretty silly.
Aliens. Finally, I believe you. Yes, of course. Together, working at last.
Some believe that Tupac is in fact still alive and faked his own death. In 2015, some news outlets reported that a man named David Myers claimed he helped Tupac fake his death and that Suge Knight, among others, helped as well. However, this story seems to have originated from a fake news site, so take it with an enormous grain of salt. Some believe Tupac is alive and well in Cuba.
I want to believe that's the truth.
Just stop, bro. Stop, man. You know how many times I had to tell people, bro, like, get out of my face, man. Oh, but he's alive, and then if you play the song backwards, you hear him say "I'm alive" in one of his songs. Like, he gonna leave his mom. He gonna leave all these people behind, or fake his death, have no, like, for what, man? Like, no, stop it. I don't believe it.
Yeah.
Because I think it's means so much more for, like,
Humanity.
yes, exactly.
Yeah. Everything would be better in the world if that were true.
Yes.
Yeah.
It seems clear.
Pac just never came off as a person. He was never that person that was gonna run and hide from something. He was upfront, in your face, boisterous type of person that didn't care how you felt, your feel. He was gonna tell you raw, give it to you. Like Pac was Pac. That's who made him what he. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, I don't see him running, hiding from something. He never backed down. I didn't see that in him. That didn't never come out of his character.
It's gonna be why it's unsolved. There's a lot of holes. There's a lot of eyewitness and a lot of people who aren't talking.
Who would have enough power to get all of these people to not say anything?
Who killed Tupac? That'll do it for today. We're gonna stay the night in Vegas, and we'll pick it back up tomorrow when we're gonna drive to Los Angeles and discuss the death of Biggie Smalls. So, see you then.
Cheers.
Yeah, like, I don't see him doing that. It's faking his death, no. His mom, I don't see his mom participating in that. There's just too many lives affected, man. Rest in peace to Tupac, bro. Still a mystery. You know, it's a lot of different things that have been spoken about, whispers of who may be involved, who wasn't involved, who did it, who could have possibly done it, this, that, and the third. But I think it's just going to be one of those things that just haunt everybody of, you know, this was never really solved or handled properly, or it's no closure. It sucks, man. That truly sucks, man. But this was one thing that rocked the hip hop world, bro. Never seen anything like it. Ever seen anything like it. Both of these deaths. So we're gonna be back, maybe not today, but we'll be back with the Biggie Smalls one after this one. All right. So it's your boy. Y'all get at me in the comment section. Let me know, where were you when this took place? Were you a little kid? Were you an adult? What was going on? What did you see? What did you hear? How did it make you feel? Like, you know, and are you invested like the rest of us? And every time one of these documentaries come out, we watch them. Whatever time one of these movies come out, we watch them. You know what I mean? I just can't help it. I have to see it. Even though I know the story and it's been told several times, I still watch them when they come out. I just love them too that much, you know. But it's your boy L, man. Y'all get at me in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. And stick around and stay tuned until the next reaction. I'm out. Peace.